Oh please. My mom's voice cracked through the speaker, dripping with disdain. You act like sending a few dollars a week makes you a saint. My father chuckled in the background. Yeah, she thinks she's the family's savior now. $450 isn't a fortune, sweetheart. Don't flatter yourself. Their laughter was the kind that digs under your skin, light, casual, cruel. I remember staring at the half-melted candles on my son's birthday cake, my phone trembling in my hand. That was the moment I realized something had broken, not in them, in me. Hi everyone. My name is Elena Moore, and I was 33 when my family taught me the price of blind love. 4 years, I'd wired them $450 every week, no questions asked. I told myself it was my duty. After all, they'd struggled while raising me. My mother had a bad back, my dad was retired, and my younger brother never held a steady job. I covered groceries, utilities, even their internet bill. I thought I was helping them live comfortably. But that day, my little boy Liam's 5th birthday, they didn't show up. No call. No message. No card. Just silence. When I called to ask if they were coming, Mom's voice came cold as marble. We don't count your family, Elena, she said. We have our own things to do. My throat went dry. Your family? I repeated silently. As if my husband and son didn't exist. As if I was still the teenage girl living under their roof, begging to be seen. Outside, children's laughter carried from the backyard, the sound of balloons brushing against each other. Inside, I felt like something inside me deflated. My husband gave me a small, confused look, the kind that says don't let them ruin today. But they already had. When the call ended, I stared at the phone for a full minute. My reflection stared back from the dark screen, the woman who kept paying for everyone else's comfort except her own. Then, without a word, I opened my banking app. Every account that had their names linked to it. I started shutting down. One by one. 40 minutes later, Dad called back. And this time, he wasn't laughing. The phone lit up again, Dad calling. My thumb hovered over decline, but curiosity won. Elena. His voice exploded through the line. What the hell did you do? I blinked slowly, my tone even. I don't understand what you mean, Dad. He barked, our cards aren't working. The electric bill bounced. Your mother's pharmacy account. Oh, I said softly. I thought you didn't count my family. Silence. Thick, furious silence. Then a growl. Don't you dare play games with me. Games. That's what they thought this was. A daughter cutting ties wasn't a heartbreak, it was an inconvenience. I walked to the window, staring at the backyard where Liam was chasing bubbles, his tiny laughter echoing against the fence. It hurt to breathe. But it hurt worse to remember how many birthdays I'd missed to fix their problems. Dad, I said, voice trembling but calm, I sent you money so you could live comfortably. I didn't realize comfort meant cutting me out. He scoffed. You're being dramatic. Your mother didn't mean that. She said exactly what she meant, I whispered. Then came the line that shattered any remaining illusion. We didn't ask for your help. You owe us. You wouldn't even have that job without us feeding you all those years. My lips parted, but no words came. That sentence, you owe us, had been the quiet chain around my neck for years. Every check, every transfer, every tear I swallowed. I see, I said finally. Then consider your debt paid. And I hung up. The room was quiet except for the hum of the fridge. My hands were shaking, but there was no going back. I opened my laptop, logged into every shared account, insurance, mortgage cosign, utilities, and removed their names. I didn't know what hurt more, the anger in my chest or the relief under it. That night, I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling, realizing freedom doesn't always feel peaceful. Sometimes, it feels like war in silence. By morning, my phone was a storm of missed calls and messages. 18 from Mom. 11 from Dad. Each one angrier than the last. When I finally opened one, her voice note started with a hiss. Do you realize what you've done to us? You embarrassed your own parents over a child's party. You think your little family makes you better than us. Better. That word twisted like a knife. I never wanted to be better, I just wanted to belong. As I brewed my coffee, I heard the faint sound of Liam giggling from his room. My husband, Mark, leaned against the kitchen door frame, watching me. "They are not worth it," he said quietly. I stared into my mug. "Then why does it still hurt like I broke something sacred?" He walked closer, brushed my shoulder. "Because you believed they loved you the same way you loved them." That hit too deep. The doorbell rang at noon. My stomach dropped when I saw through the peephole. Dad. Red-faced, sweating, pacing on my porch like a man ready for battle. When I opened the door, he didn't even say hello. "Turn them back on," he snapped. "Now." "I can't do that," I said. He jabbed a finger toward me. "You don't get to cut us off. You think you're powerful now? You think money makes you free?" I interrupted softly. "Not powerful. Just free." He froze. His mouth opened, then closed again. For the first time, I saw it, not anger. Fear. "I've been taking care of you for years, Dad. Not out of duty, but out of love. And you turned that love into a receipt." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You're going to regret this, Elena." "Maybe," I said. "But at least this time, the regret will be mine." He stormed off without another word, his tires screeching as he left. I shut the door and leaned against it, exhaling a lifetime of swallowed tears. And then, a message came through. From my brother. Just 5 words that made my heart stop. "Dad says you'll pay tomorrow." The text stayed on my screen like a warning. "Dad says you'll pay tomorrow." I stared at it for a long time, my heart pulsing in my throat. Mark saw the look on my face. "What's wrong?" I showed him the message. He frowned, jaw tightening. "He wouldn't actually." "He would," I said before he could finish. I knew that tone my father used, not a bluff, but a promise. He'd never hit me, but he'd mastered something worse. The kind of rage that came in the form of guilt, shame, and destruction. That night, I barely slept. Every shadow against the window felt like an omen. My phone kept lighting up, my brother calling, then hanging up. Messages popping in rapid bursts. "You went too far. Dad's furious. You'll regret this tomorrow." Asterisk. By dawn, I made a decision. I got dressed, printed out bank statements, transaction histories, and every transfer I'd ever made, neatly filed in a folder. Then I opened a new account under my name only. No joint access. No family link. Mark watched silently. "You're protecting us," he said softly. "I'm protecting what's left of me," I replied. At 9:13 a.m., my doorbell rang again. Not once, but 5 times, in sharp, angry rhythm. Through the window, I saw my dad's car, and beside it, my brother pacing. I stepped outside, folder in hand. My heart was racing, but my voice didn't shake. Dad's first words, "You're going to fix this now." "No," I said. "I'm going to show you something." I handed him the folder. Every transfer. Every payment. Every week for 6 years. Nearly $140,000. All because I believed you when you said we were family. He glanced at the papers, then back at me, his expression unreadable. "So what? You're rich now, you can afford it." I smiled faintly. "You were never asking for help, Dad. You were demanding loyalty. But loyalty without love is just debt." For the first time, he didn't speak. He just looked, cornered. Then my brother whispered something that made my blood run cold. "Dad said if you won't give it, we'll take it." For a moment, the world narrowed to that one sentence. "We'll take it." The sound of it cracked through the air like glass. "Excuse me," I said quietly. My brother, Tyler, shifted, eyes darting to Dad for approval. Dad didn't even flinch. He just crossed his arms and said, "You have a house, a car, savings. You think that came from your hard work alone." I stared at him, barely breathing. "Every bit of it came from working double shifts, from missing Liam's first steps so you could have heating that winter." "Then pay us back for that sacrifice," he growled. "You wouldn't have made it without us." There it was again, "You owe us." That same line he'd used to make me feel like gratitude was a currency I'd never finish paying. Mark stepped forward. "You both need to leave." Dad's eyes flicked toward him. "Stay out of this. You married our daughter because she has money now." Mark's face darkened. "Because she has heart, which is more than I can say for you." The tension thickened. For a split second, I saw the boy I used to call Dad. The man who built my swing set from scraps, who told me stories about loyalty and love. But that man had vanished years ago. "I'm done being your wallet," I said softly. "You've taken enough." Dad's jaw clenched. "Then you'll see what happens when a daughter betrays her family." He turned, motioning for Tyler. "Let's go." They left without another word, the sound of the car door slamming echoing like thunder. Inside, I felt my legs trembling. Mark locked the door and wrapped his arms around me. "They won't stop," I whispered. "I know," he said. "But you're not alone this time." That night, I documented everything: texts, call logs, even the threats. Something inside me had shifted from fear to focus. I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was the woman they underestimated. And when Dad's next move came, I'd be ready for him. 2 days later, the storm arrived, not as a shout, but as silence. I came home from work to find our mailbox overflowing, overdue notices, a warning from the power company, and a strange letter addressed to the Mose. Inside was a printed form, a credit application. Under my name. My signature. Only, I hadn't signed it. My pulse quickened. I flipped through the pages. There were more, loans, store cards, and one ominous letter from a bank I'd never used. The handwriting in the verification section looked hauntingly familiar. Mark leaned over my shoulder. "Elena, this looks like my dad," I finished, voice barely above a whisper. He'd done it before, small things. Phone contracts, credit cards for emergencies. I'd forgiven it, told myself it was just his pride. But this was different. This was theft. My phone buzzed again, a text from Tyler. "You shouldn't have made him angry." I sat at the table, staring at the bills. Something inside me broke, but not the way it used to. This time, it broke clean, like glass shattering into clarity. I called the fraud department, then the police. I gave them everything: account numbers, forged forms, the threats. The officer on the line was calm, methodical. "Do you have evidence of prior financial control or coercion?" I exhaled slowly. 6 years of transfers. I have every receipt. Mark placed his hand on mine. "You're doing the right thing," he said. "Maybe. But it didn't feel like justice yet. It felt like mourning." That night, I opened a new document on my laptop, titled "For Liam." I wrote, "One day, you'll wonder why Grandma and Grandpa disappeared. It's because love without respect turns toxic. And I refuse to let you grow up thinking pain equals loyalty." As I saved the file, my email pinged. A new message. No subject. Just one sentence inside. "You think the cops will protect you?" No name. No signature. But I already knew who it was. Morning sunlight cut across the kitchen table, glinting off the police report I'd printed the night before. I hadn't told my parents yet, but I didn't need to, they always found out. At 8:42 a.m., my phone buzzed. Private number. I hesitated, then answered. "Congratulations," Dad's voice slithered through the line. "You turned on your own blood." "I turned off your access," I said evenly. "There's a difference." He laughed, low, bitter. "You think you can ruin us and sleep at night? You're the reason your mother's crying right now." "Maybe she should have cried when she called my son a stranger," I whispered. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was sharp, like a held knife. Then he said the words that confirmed everything. "You'll regret this when the world sees who you really are." He hung up. I didn't realize my hands were shaking until Mark took the phone away. "He's bluffing," he said. But I knew better. My father's pride wasn't built to bend, it only broke things around it. By afternoon, the calls shifted from threats to whispers. My aunt messaged me, "What's going on? Your dad says you stole from them." Then another, "Your mom's saying you drained their life savings." It spread fast, their version of the story. And suddenly, I was the villain. The ungrateful daughter who abandoned her parents for money. But I didn't argue. I didn't post a defense. I let their lies run wild, because storms burn themselves out faster when you don't chase them. Instead, I forwarded every message, every accusation, every bank record, to the officer assigned to my case. And one copy, to my parents' lawyer. Mark watched me hit send. "You're not just cutting ties anymore," he said softly. I looked at the documents on the screen, My family's names printed beside words like fraud and forgery. No, I replied. I'm closing the circle. That night, for the first time in months, I slept, not peacefully, but with purpose. Because tomorrow, the truth would wake them up instead. The morning arrived quieter than I expected. No calls. No messages. Just stillness, the kind that comes before something breaks. By noon, my doorbell rang. When I opened it, 2 officers stood there, not for me, but with a delivery notice. A copy of the official fraud complaint, filed in my name. They'd already visited my parents' house earlier that morning. Dad's voice message came hours later. His tone wasn't angry this time, it was hollow. You really did it, here? You called the law on your own parents. I sat at my desk, listening, my heartbeat steady. He continued, they froze our accounts, Elena. Your mother's crying again. Are you happy now? I closed my eyes, whispering to myself, not happy, just free. Later that day, the officer handling my case called to update me. They attempted to use your credentials for multiple applications. That's identity fraud. But since you've kept detailed proof of transfers, you're fully protected. Will they face charges? I asked quietly. There will be hearings, she said. But that depends if they cooperate. I hung up and walked to the window. Liam was outside again, chasing sunlight across the yard. I realized how long I'd lived in emotional winter, waiting for warmth that was never coming. That evening, I wrote one final message, not to my parents, but to my brother. Tell Mom and Dad I forgive them. But forgiveness isn't the same as access. I'm choosing peace, not silence. He never replied. But the next morning, I found something in the mailbox, a plain envelope with no name. Inside was a photo, Liam at his last birthday, candles lit, my parents standing behind him, half smiling. On the back, in my father's messy handwriting, 4 words. We didn't deserve you. Tears fell, not from sadness, but release. I placed the photo in the drawer beside my son's first drawing and whispered, maybe now, we can finally start over. I didn't block their numbers. I didn't delete the past. I simply stopped answering, because some stories end not with revenge, but with reclaiming your peace.